Hey everyone, and welcome to week 2 of Katie Mixed Media's stencil design team share. So this one is the fishbone stencil, as you can see here with the sample card and the stencil in my book here. So don't forget to go check out her Etsy shop and buy what you like, and you're probably going to end up buying all of it because there's lots to like. So remember that you get a sample card with each stencil so that you can see an example of how it's used and what it looks like, and then if you order 10 or more you get that album like I've got to store it neatly. So it's really good. So the album is, well, the stencils are really good as well, but I mean the album is really good storage. I just have it sitting next to my desk, and I haven't even reached for any of my other stencils lately because it's just too convenient to reach for these ones, and there's one of just about everything for every example that you need. So as I've been rubbing on, you've obviously seen me using a makeup sponge to rub in my Distress Oxide ink, I guess, and with some water, and then I've let it dry a little, and then I've sprinkled the water on top to bring up some of that pattern. And now I'm just using a darker blue. So the first blue was Broken China, and this one's Faded Jeans. So I'm just using the makeup sponge to blend it in so that it doesn't look like it's, just stuck on top, that it actually is part of the layers and the artwork. So I'm just trying to make sort of like a sky kind of a thing. When I looked at this fishbone, using the paintbrush here the paper was peeling a little, sort of like when you got lint on your shirt. I think the paper in my art journal, which is not a reputable brand, actually needed to be gessoed before I did anything to it. So, but you can't tell once I just brush off those little pieces, it's all okay. So when I looked at the stencil for week 2, that fishbone stencil, what I actually thought of was trees. And I was thinking Christmas trees, and that would be cool to have a background. And then I went, oh, what about a forest? So I'm trying to make some ground and some sky because I want to put a dense forest on the foreground. So this is what my thoughts were when I was making, and this is what I've come up with. So I'm just using, I can't remember what that green is, sort of like a greeny yellow. It looks more yellowy brown on the screen. But check out the blog post because I'll have the colours written there, and you'll be able to find if you've got it in your stash or something similar. So I didn't like that colour, it was just too bold, so I put over some of this ice spruce, which is a grey colour, just to mute it out a bit and blend it in a bit. And I do put a little bit of the water on to bring up some of the colour spots as well down the bottom. So here we go with my stencil. So I decided I would use some matte gel, it's not matte, it's gloss gel medium. So just through the stencil, and I'm sort of making the trees the size that I want and in the position, like not all in a straight row. Some are closer or shorter or taller or back or whatever's going on. But you can see, look how easy it is just to put it through the stencil. These stencils are so easy to use, so perfect, such a great size, great storage. So I will show you a close-up so you can see the gel medium on there, but at the moment you probably can't see too well, but you can see the process. It's just a little subtle stencil work this week. Subtle, but really, it's subtle but bold at the same time because it adds to the background. So just filling in, it's going to be trees along the edge there, all along the hillside, the ground, whatever you want to decipher that ground part. On it goes. So I hope everyone's enjoying all the design team artworks that we're sharing. So definitely check out some links below or check out the Instagram site. So here you can see the close up of all that gel medium as I'm drying it. You can see how it stands out. It's really cool actually. I don't think I could have chosen a better way to use it. I was thinking modelling paste, but I didn't think it would, I just thought it would stand out too much with the white on such a cool background. So I've just grabbed some acrylic paint here and some dark green. So what I'm using is the edge of my brush. It's not a tip brush, but it's like a little bit of a wide, maybe about a centimetre, half a centimetre. So I'm just using the edge there to make some leaves, some kind of like pine pine trees, just like the fishbone stencil reminds me. So just putting it on, putting them in some random spots, trying to make it look like the trees are closer and further away in different heights, and that it is a bit like a forest, because that was my initial idea. It's so cool. I really love when you find craft pieces or items, tools that speak to you, and when you open it or when you look at it and you're like, yes, I know exactly what I'm going to do, and that's how it starts, and then it just takes shape and it's just amazing. So just like this, where I was like looking at the stencil going, okay, what am I going to do this week? And I thought an art journal process, something about trees. I was thinking Christmas at the beginning, but then I changed it to a forest, and really it could be a forest of Christmas trees because they're modelled on pine trees, so that would smell amazing, a forest of Christmas trees. I would love to go there right now. Anyway, I hope everyone is getting close to getting into the Christmas spirit, because it is certainly coming up. So I thought these trees needed a bit of some, like the tree trunk. So I'm using a stiff brush and just using the edge there to put a thick, well, it's not heaps thick, but you can see that it's not a thin, that it actually is texture as a tree trunk on all those trees. Now I leave the gel medium like they are, because it's sort of like shadows, when you look to the horizon and you can see things but you can't see them 100% clearly, or the colours properly and stuff like that. So that's what my thought was with them. So it adds to the texture in the background and the whole effect of a forest, without being too in your face. I'm going to have to use that gel medium some more through some stencils, because it's just so cool. It's such a beautiful effect. So just adding some leaves to the top of my tree, fixing it up, because there's a couple that I thought the tree trunk just ends and there's no leaves on top, when really there's usually leaves on top and then leaves down. So just making it a bit more authentic. And pulling out my other art journal, which is actually my son's art journal, and using up that rest of the paint to put on there. Interesting colour scheme when it's just, the background, but we'll see what he makes. I'll have to get him to do like a flip through of his art journal, because he's got some pretty cool, some different kind of spreads in there, some layouts. Is that what they're called when they're an art journal? Layout? Spread? Page? I don't know. Just a rambling. Anyway, so there goes on. Put it over. We'll put it over to dry and then bring back my art journal. So then I've, thought it needed a sun up the top, just to draw your eyes up the top there, and it's sort of like having white space but having a nice background at the same time. So I thought I'd use the gelato, and look, it looks so pretty. I add some water, spread it out, and grab some paper towel and ruin it. It's just not nice at all. I guess it is, but it's just not what's needed, because the background's flat. The things on the top, like the trees and the gel medium and trees and the sun, need to be on top as well. So I pull out my acrylic paint and again use the edge of the brush to make the sun rays around the sun. And there, we call it a sun. Well, spread it out a bit and call it a sun. And I, nearly finished, as you can see that it's coming together pretty well. And here I'm just writing a quote. So I hopped onto Pinterest, searched quote forest, and found this one. So into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul, which is a really lovely thing to think about. So I actually didn't write who wrote the quote on here, but I figured I'd probably write it somewhere else a bit later. But at the moment, I just wrote November 2017, and I wrap it up. Just a bit of a close-up for you, and enjoy. So come back and see next week with the new things I make with the next stencil. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.